it's Will again. And today I'm in the studio. Basically, I'm at Pellissippi State Community College, kind of. But basically, we are in Ella's office right now, and she is one of the...
I'm the program coordinator for video production.
Okay. So basically, we're gonna. This is basically an interview, and we're gonna ask her a couple questions for you guys. So first of all, have you ever heard of YouTube?
Yes, I have heard of YouTube.
And you guys should subscribe to my channel. But anyway, like, why did you want to become a why did you want to be why are you into film and producing and director?
You wouldn't know it now, but when I was young, I had 14 years of dancing, I had 7 years of piano, and I had 5 years of voice. And my first degree was in secondary education in speech, English, and drama. And then I got a permanent teaching certificate that was K through 12. And then I went on to get my master's. And when I went to get my master's, I decided, because at that time, television was just becoming kind of popular, and I decided that it might be a good idea to end up learning a little bit more about it, incorporating it in my speech classes, so they would have criteria to know whether they were, what they should be looking for and what they need to be looking at. And then from that, I ended up getting, but then I thought I was getting my second BA, but I ended up with I did second BA and a master's, and the thing about it is you're going to find out that if you enjoy it, it doesn't matter. You cannot get it out of your blood. You cannot leave it. And it's an ever-changing business. It's an ever-growing business. It's not a 9-to-5 business, and it's never going to be the same from one day to the next, which is the thing that's interesting.
So basically, I can't remember what question I was going to ask. So basically, I'm a YouTuber, and I like doing filming, and Camera Girl likes videoing me. And by the way, Pizza Challenge is coming out probably today or tomorrow. Anyway.
Hopefully today.
So, what kind of cameras, do you usually, teach classes, or do you, show?
I teach classes. I've taught every course in the curriculum except for the editing classes, and our program coordinator before me, he liked teaching the editing classes, so we have documentary classes, budgeted production. You end up doing videos for nonprofit organizations, so I don't end up taking business away from anybody in the community, but it gives you a chance to work with a real client with a real project that is something that's not just another classroom project to put on your demo reel. We have separate editing classes and different formats that we end up teaching. We have sound classes. We have beginning. There's studio classes, and there's also field work. And so when we start out with smaller format cameras, and as they go along, they end up getting cameras that are more complicated, I guess you'd say, that have more features and that sort of thing to them as they go through the courses. So everything is kind of broken down. There's separate camera classes, separate sound classes, separate editing classes, separate script writing classes, and so they actually end up getting a sampling of all the different aspects, and then they kind of decide which one is the one that they really like to do, and then they also end up doing an internship, and then they let me know what they decided they really like to do and what they don't like to do. Some people say, don't ever put me in front of another editing machine in my life because I don't want to edit. So then I try to look for a place where they're interested in camera work, where somebody wants to have them do camera work and that sort of thing. So there's a whole myriad of different classes that end up exposing you to the different elements of broadcasting.
Very interesting. So what is your favorite part? Is it your favorite part of doing the whole production? Is it editing or video shooting, audio? What's your most favorite?
That's a good question, but I think that I've been around it long enough that I can mostly say all aspects of it, because actually taking an idea, creating what you want to end up doing with it, shooting that, then editing it, and then seeing the final, product is there's something kind of neat about it. And now I'd say my favorite thing though is teaching, because I love to see, and I know it's kind of a cliche, but it's like seeing the little light bulbs come on when all of a sudden somebody realizes something that, hey, I can do that, and then they, or they show me a piece that they've edited and they really they're really proud of the piece and the way that it came together.
Like,
so
kind of like a brainstorm.
Yeah.
So I see around your room, I see a lot of kind of like film stuff. I see like camera rolls over there from way back then, and then I see over here an old camera that they used to have.
That camera right there is probably older than you and I put together. It is called Nikigami, is the manufacturer. Those were the cameras that we ended up using in the studio, but they were in their tube cameras. Now everything has chips in them. I've kept that camera, and usually when I've taught the beginning video class, I will take it in, take the side off it, and show the students the tubes on the inside. And that camera is all like metal housing. You were talking about the camera downstairs being heavy. That one is very good, and the lens on that is still an excellent lens. And the little box that's sitting right next to it behind that cup, the black one, on the left-hand side, that's the battery.
Oh, wow.
For that camera. And I had somebody once say, is that a battery? Yeah. Is that the battery for a miniature car? And I said, no, that's the battery for that camera.
Jeez.
So, yeah.
So, last question. Let me think here. By the way, I'm making a video of all these. And my stepdad, Dallas, he was wondering, what kind of grades do you need to get into this college or community or producing a directory or something?
There are certain core courses that they call core courses that you're going to have to take. And so when you're going up through the grades and getting into junior high and high school, just take each class as you go and do the best you can in it, because you may end up changing your mind as to what you want to do. You may also find out that there's something that you really didn't think you were interested in, and once you get into it, you may be very interested. And grades do make a difference. And the thing about it is that we had a lot of students who actually, because when the job market was getting kind of tight and people weren't hiring, they would come back and end up getting more classes, so they could get their, the things they were doing more current as far as their knowledge and that sort of thing. And so therefore, you never can tell, but having a good, strong background. And the other thing you're going to find out is that you may end up, especially if you're going into the area of video, that you're going to need to know different things. You need to know your math. You need to know, like anything dealing with sociology. You end up, if you've got a math or a natural science, if you're taking biology. I actually did a series on wildlife wood carving, and I carved 2 birds, because I had 2 children. I carved 2 of them, but I knew nothing about it at all. But if I hadn't had the background that I had, the same thing when I first started, one of the things I ended up doing was band competitions. I was never in the band, so I had to learn what a band ended up doing. So the more that you can learn and the better your grades are, the more likely, number one, that people are. I know that sometimes you think grades are like, well, shoot, I'm never going to use that. Don't have that attitude, because if you do, you're going to be in trouble, because the thing about it is you may think that, but you never know when that's going to come and be important to you.
Because most of your grades and most of your scoring is paying attention, sitting up front, and make sure that you're paying attention, even if you don't get my stepdad Dallas told me this, that if you try your hardest, you're sitting up front.
Just do the best you can. Mm-hmm. And the big thing about it is the fact that you're also going to run into all kinds of people in your classroom. You're going to run into all kinds of teachers. And some teachers you're going to like, some teachers you're not going to like, but guess what? That's life. And so you just end up working with it. And the other thing, remember that if you're in a class and you're not that happy with it, it's not a lifetime proposition. You're going to get through it in that semester, and then you're done with it. So therefore, it's better to get a good grade and get out of it than it is to get a poor grade and then maybe have to repeat it, because then you're back to where you started from. So it's not a lifetime deal, but it could change your life in the future. So.
Well, I want to say thank you for letting me do this interview.
I have one question for your interview.
Yes.
You've seen media for quite some time.
Quite some time, yes.
You've noticed, obviously, that media has changed and is changing
constantly
at an exponentially greater rate every year.
Yes.
Where do you see, do you have any ideas on
where we're going to be?
What's next?
To be honest with you, no, because I get surprised at different times. As far as what's down the road and what's in the future, I do think the fact that, because of cell phones, they've got so much now that you can end up doing with them. But then I keep wondering about, it's like anything. The more options you've got, the more things can go wrong. So knowing the basis of what you need to know as far as like framing, composition, continuity, the basis for editing, and that sort of thing. Those principles are never going to change. I mean, people end up, like people are saying, oh, well, you got color correction, so therefore you don't have to worry about when you're, to set your camera up properly. Sometimes, and it used to be, and it still is the principle as far as I'm concerned, garbage in, garbage out. If you don't end up, if you don't set it up originally to do it right, you might be surprised that you can't end up correcting it because you may not end up having the tools that you think you might have. So the idea is that when you end up setting it up, make sure that your audio is set up properly, make sure that your camera's set up properly, and make sure that you're, that everybody is ready, and then end up doing it, because you can always, and I had some people that what they did is afterwards they're like, well, we can change the color. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but it's still not going to look the same.
Technology doesn't want to do what it wants to do.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you for this interview, and I'm glad you had the time to take me for an interview, and for giving me a tour of this whole entire place, including Camera Girl, because she saw all of this as well. I just want to say thank you so much, and I will see you later.
You better.
Alright guys, I'll see you all later. Bye!